Hey, if you're looking to create a set of financial projections for a spa business, and maybe you're looking to create the projections for potential investors or lenders, then you've come to the right place because we have built a financial projection spreadsheet template built specifically for spas. And I'm going to walk you through how to fill the template out, how it works, just kind of take you through step by step. But before I do, just as a thank you, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how to get a discount code so you can get a discount on this particular template. You'll also be able to look in the description of the video below on YouTube, and you'll be able to find a link to this particular template so you can grab the template and follow along. Before I dive in, one more little bit of housekeeping, just a little background on me. My name is Adam Hoeksema. I'm the co-founder of ProjectionHub, and we help entrepreneurs create financial projections. And before I started ProjectionHub, I served as an SBA lender, a small business administration lender, for about 10 years, where we made small business loans to all sorts of different businesses. And as part of that, we asked our clients to create a set of financial projections often. And I was inspired by seeing how much trouble clients often had creating their own financial projections. And so that kind of inspired me to create ProjectionHub to try to help small business owners and entrepreneurs create investor and lender ready projections. So with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the details of how this template works. Okay, so we're starting here on the at a glance tab. So this is kind of the end of the process. After you've entered in all your assumptions and information, you're going to get this nice profit and loss at a glance table, some key ratios and summary data, and some nice graphs and charts that you can pull into a business plan or pitch deck. You're also going to get a 5-year income statement summary, 5-year cash flow summary, 5-year balance sheet, and then an income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet, all broken down by month for the first 5 years. And so you get that monthly level detail as well as the annual summary detail. But in order to produce those reports, we have a little bit of work to do. So we're going to start on our input assumptions tab, where we can start setting our different key assumptions here. So the first thing you need to know is that every cell that's highlighted in light blue is an assumption that you can change, you can overwrite without breaking anything in the model. So we're going to set our projection start month here for January 1st, 2025 here, and we're going to make a personal investment of $100,000 in month 0. So that just month 0 in this model represents the beginning. So if it's a startup, we're going to assume month 0 or month 1 for our different key startup investments, loans, and startup costs. We are going to assume that you're paid 100% of your sales are paid upfront. So it's not like you're providing a service and then letting folks pay you in 30 days or something like that. You're getting paid when you provide the service. And then you're paying 80% of your bills, your accounts payable here. You're paying in the month that the expense was incurred. Maybe some of your expenses, maybe like a utility bill or something, you get a bill and you have 30 days to pay perhaps. So that's why we set maybe 20% of your expenses. You get some terms and get to pay later. For inventory, we assume you'll have some inventory at startup, maybe $5,000 worth of inventory, and then that you would just carry some inventory on hand as a percentage of sales. So we put in 25% of sales that you just hold as inventory in the spa. Now we have fixed assets here. And so again, let's assume we're starting a new spa and we're going to rent some space. Now let's assume we need to do some renovations here. And so we're going to put in $100,000 in renovations into the building. It asks us for a life expectancy in years. And so typically, if you're doing renovations, you want to make your life expectancy here to be equal to your lease term. So if you have a 10-year lease, you could put a 10-year life expectancy on this asset. And that just means that these leasehold improvements, these renovations, are going to be depreciated over their useful life, over that 10-year time horizon. We're assuming a salvage cost of 0, meaning you can't sell the asset after the useful life for anything. If you wanted to put a small amount in for maybe your furniture, you think you're going to sell your furniture for some small amount after the 10 years, sure, you could put in a small amount. That would just impact your depreciation calculation. And then ultimately, we're going to put month 0 here for all of these expenses. We're going to assume that we're going to have cash outflows in month 0, so right at the start of the business for all of these expense items. We have an SBA loan here of $200,000 that we're going to have on month 1 at 8% interest over 120 months, so a 10-year term. And then we come down to this green table down here. And what it's going to do is it's going to tell you if it thinks your starting cash is sufficient. Do you have enough cash based on your assumptions? Now, we're going to want to come back to this table at the end of the process after we've entered in all of our assumptions. But right now, what it's saying is, well, based on the assumptions we have throughout the model, it thinks we're going to need $82,000 worth of working capital to help cover our expenses until we reach a positive cash flow in month 17. It thinks we need $165,000 for our fixed assets. That's these items. And it wants us to have a $30,000 buffer. So that all totals $277,000. And we're assuming $100,000 from investments and $200,000 from loans. So we have sufficient cash. But now let's go through and look at some of our other assumptions, and then we'll come back to that. So on the import revenue tab, we are going to assume that we do some advertising to try to attract new customers. So we've got a $2,000 monthly advertising budget. And we're saying that we think it's going to cost us $50 to attract a new customer. So that could be maybe Facebook ads or Google ads, or maybe postcards in the mail with coupons to come to the spa, that sort of thing that we're going to spend on ads, and it's going to attract new customers. We also are assuming that we're going to have some customers from organic sources. So this could just be word of mouth or people Googling, med spa or spa services in our area. And we can also assume a growth rate. And oftentimes for the word of mouth new clients, I actually apply a negative growth rate. So what that means is I think over time, it's going to be harder and harder to get new clients in our town, in our city, in our area, because we'll have kind of saturated the market. All the people that might be interested in our services have heard about us. It'll get harder and harder to find new customers. So that's why, businesses don't just grow exponentially forever, right? They hit a stabilized point, right? And so that's kind of what we expect to happen here as well. So we're going to have total new clients per month, which is the new clients from advertising and the new clients from organic sources. We're now assuming that some percentage of those new clients are going to become regulars. So we said 50% will become regulars. And then here we're assuming that 25% of our regulars are going to leave each year. They're going to churn. And so what that just means is that maybe they move away, they stop needing these services, they find a different spa, whatever the case may be. But then based on all those assumptions, we can calculate how many regular client visits we expect to have each month. How many total regular clients we expect to have. And now below here, we're going to calculate our visit assumptions. So we're assuming that our regulars are going to visit 0.33 times a month. In other words, 4 times a year. We're assuming that the spa can handle 20 visits per day. We're open 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. So we have a maximum number of client visits per month of 607 based on those assumptions. And so what you'll see here is that you can now see our estimated client visits per month continues to go up over time. So now based on that, what we're going to come down here and say, okay, of these 60 clients that visited this month, what percentage of client visits were purchased each of these services, right? So we're saying 60% of these visitors purchase a massage, 40% purchase a facial, 30%, hair removal, 40% manicures, pedicures, and so on, right? So you can have different services in here that you would offer. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that this adds up to more than 100%, right? And so the idea is that someone could, go do a spa day, right? And get, 3 services all at once. And so some percentage of your customers end up doing that, where they're buying multiple services all at once. That's the idea here. And then you can have a average revenue per service here. So here's, the fee, and then the amount of time you expect it to take to provide that service. Mm-hmm. And then a percent employee commission. So here's a commission expectation for, if you're going to pay your employees, maybe both a base rate, maybe a base hourly rate, plus you want to provide a commission on their services, you can enter that in here. Then here is where you can put in the average cost of supplies, material cost used during, providing the service. Now, we're going to come down here to employee base pay. So we're going to assume that the average weekly hours per employee is 40, and we're going to need to have at least 2 employees at all times for all the hours that we're open. And so based on all of these assumptions up here and how long it's going to take and how many services we're going to provide and what services we'll provide, this line right down here, this minimum number of employees needed, is going to calculate how many employees it thinks you're going to need in order to provide the services that we've projected up here. And so what it's going to do is help you kind of scale the cost of your employees over time as you grow. And so you'll see this kind of grow over time here, right? So by the end of the model, we're up to, 6.5. We need 6.5 full-time equivalent employees to provide all the services. And so what that's going to do is then, based on a $20 hourly rate, is going to calculate what the employee base pay should be based on having, X number of employees times a base rate gives us our monthly employee cost. We also have the ability to enter in product sales. So if you sell products as well, you can see, 20% of our clients are going to purchase a product here. And here's kind of the breakdown of what they're buying, the price points, and the cost. So this is the cost to you, like what do you pay for, the skincare or body care product? So that's your cost of goods sold. And all that helps us calculate both our service and product sales revenue. Moving on to our operating expenses. So you can enter in various operating expenses here. And you can enter things as either a fixed, there's a drop down here, so a fixed dollar amount, meaning it's the same dollar amount each month, or a percentage of revenue. And so a good example of a percentage of revenue expense would be a credit card processing fee. That's usually a percentage of the transaction. And so we've entered in 0.03, which would be 3%. We're assuming 3% credit card processing fee. And so as your revenue increases, that fee will be automatically calculated and applied each month. All right, and then our last input tab, if you have staff that are other than, the service providers, but maybe like a receptionist or a salaried position, or even like a general manager of the business, you could enter that salaried position in here. You can enter in what month they start on and what month they end. We have month 60, which is the end of the 5-year projections here. And then we can even apply an annual raise for them as well. So that is it. That brings us back to our at a glance here. And we can see that in the first year, we have a loss. Pretty common for a small business to have a loss in the first year, but we swing to basically break even and then a profit going forward after that. And so let's jump back here to our input assumptions and just make sure, our starting cash is still sufficient based on these assumptions. So that is really the process. And if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at support@ProjectionHub.com. We offer free email support and can even record videos like this to kind of help walk you through the process or help answer any questions you might have. And as a thank you, as I promised, and if you go down to the description of the video below, there's going to be a link to a form, a discount form. So you'll fill out this form and we're going to email you our most up-to-date discount code so you can take a discount on this particular template as our thank you for sticking in it with us here for this video. So again, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out at support@ProjectionHub.com. Thanks.